This lady, who I'm not familiar with, we're in new territory. I got two videos from her, one hair back, one hair down. I don't know. She looks terrific both ways. I don't really have, her name is Jill Savage, which I don't know if she's related to Michael Savage, so her real name is Jill Wiener. We don't know. My sister's name is Jill, no relation, don't know what's going on here. But this is what I would call part of the popcorn report. Mitch McConnell betrays Donald Trump with Ukraine spending plot. Yes, exactly. Oh, so good.
Trump are at odds. While Trump recoups from his second near assassination attempt,
recuperates from it? What do you mean? You mean by continuing to golf or selling Bitcoin?
Mitch McConnell is out there and certainly concerned about military spending and potentially raising taxes. Chris Bedford, senior editor for politics and Washington correspondent.
Blaze Media. Mitch McConnell versus Donald Trump and the voters. Tell us, Christopher Bedford, in your weird little Blaze News Tonight studio. Jesus Christ. By the way, the fucking flop sweat at the Blaze once this DOJ Russia money thing started has been fantastic.
And for Blaze Media explains this riff in his latest Beltway brief at theblaze.com/Bedford. And he joins us now. Chris, it's been a few days, so excited to have you back on the program. And let's deep dive into this division between McConnell and Trump.
It's great to be back. It's great to feel good again.
How can you feel good again? We are a nation in decline.
So McConnell and Donald Trump and McConnell and GOP donors and McConnell and the Republican base have really not been on the same page for a long time. McConnell, I've written about this for the Blaze before, really is best summed up as someone leading his own party of appropriators with their own specific agenda. For him, his additional little interest.
Hold on. Mr. President Geek says, seriously, Hal, I went to grade school with her. Ask me about her anytime. This woman, this Jill Savage woman, for real? That's amazing. And by the way, I think this guy is AI as well.
That's usually our Republican judges, which can be helpful from time to time to the GOP, but also protecting campaign finance reform and stopping that from going through. Now, recently, he wants to stake his legacy on the Ukraine war. So we come off this weekend where Donald Trump has now undergone.
No, I wouldn't say that's true. I would not say that Mitch McConnell is staking his legacy on the Ukraine war. What I would say is that people at the Blaze, because they know which side the butter is on, and Donald Trump have staked their legacy on Russia's survival, if not, winning and thriving in Ukraine, which is a foregone conclusion, ain't gonna fucking happen, right? What they've staked their reputation and their legacy on is Russia doing well.
His second assassination attempt.
The attempted assassination attempt. He didn't even get that far.
And we come off this past week where House Republicans are fighting, although not doing too well, fighting to attach the SAVE Act to a continuing resolution.
Yeah, that failed. Sorry, that's, dude, check please.
This is something, by the way, that the Republican nominee, Donald Trump, has been pushing for. He did so again today, very angrily, very loudly, said
yeah, but not because he wanted it to pass, but because he didn't want the budget to pass. He wants them to shut down the government. He doesn't give a fuck about the SAVE Act. Anything that's in the SAVE Act wouldn't go into place until after this election anyways. You cannot implement new rules about an election while the election is going on anywhere. You would just gum up the works. If anything, that's maybe what he hopes it will do, is that there'll be legal challenges during the fucking election when states try to implement stuff at the last minute and ask people for 2 forms of ID at the fucking polls when they only need 1, and they try to change the rules while the person, from the time the person has left their fucking house to the time they've actually arrived at the at the polling place. It's not going to fucking happen. He wants them to shut down the fucking government. That's why he wants this. He thinks it's a win for them. You know why he thinks that? Because he's a fucking idiot. You know why Mike Johnson passed the continuing resolution to keep the government funded? because he's awful, but he's not a fucking idiot. And Donald Trump hating on Mike Johnson is a situation where an idiot is very angry at someone who isn't an idiot for doing, because they didn't do something idiotic the idiot wanted them to do. Just to clarify.
If you don't pass this SAVE Act, if you don't do this thing that we've been talking about in the show now for months, then there's no reason to negotiate with Democrats. Maybe you guys in Capitol Hill should get used to winning as opposed to simply losing. Mitch McConnell's like,
yeah, but keep in mind, Donald Trump's at the top of the ticket, and you're going to be losing no matter what. If he, as long as he's around, you guys are going to lose. He's a loser.
ignoring all of that. He has his lunch, which helps set the agenda every single week that the Senate's in session.
Yeah, they are organized. I don't like them, but they do the normal stuff. It's impressive. Trump is incapable of having any kind of organizational skills, especially now as his brain is starting to decay right in front of us.
The Republican leadership holds its members only off the record Tuesday lunch. And everyone files in here kind of expecting to get their marching orders. And
their Martian orders?
Entire thing is essentially, at least the main thing, the main thrust of the lunch is a presentation by the Rand Corporation.
Please don't show Mitch McConnell and say the word thrust. It's just gross.
About how more money as a percentage of GDP needs to be going to the Pentagon, and that maybe raising taxes is the way to do that. It's off message for what the Republican campaign is doing, which is...
No, it isn't. Donald Trump is like, I rebuilt the military, we have brand new everything, and I'm going to fund the military more than anybody else, and we got to be strong, and blah, blah, blah. He's not like, we need to... Find me one instance where Donald Trump on the campaign trail said, we've got to cut defense spending.
Campaigning on lower taxes and making tax cuts. It's off message from Republican and I think American criticism of the Pentagon, which right now...
Fuck off.
Now is at all-time recruitment lows.
Yeah, that's because unemployment is low. That's always true when there are more jobs available. The people who choose to go into the military because it's the only financial option for them gets lower when there are more jobs available. That's always true.
No one's been fired yet, as was pointed out in the debate and repeatedly before. No one's been...
Why would they be?
Fired for the disastrous and deadly withdrawal from Kabul. Not a single consequence.
Well, did Trump fire anybody for not getting us out of Afghanistan the entire time he was in office? Did he fire anybody because, hey, I want to get out of here. I ran on getting us out of here. It's been a year already. Get me the fuck out of Afghanistan or you're fired. Did he do that ever?
Mitch McConnell wants to send them more money. And this is kind of part of his broader strategy and a lot of
Afghanistan?
The Senate GOP strategy, which is to try to tie the hands of an incoming administration, especially if it's Trump's.
You mean an incoming administration? Not an income... Never mind.
Foreign policy. By eventually negotiating a deal that would allow for spending on the Ukraine war for, if Lindsey Graham were to get his way, up to 10 years appropriated by Congress and protected by Congress. That sets him up for a clash with basically everyone else on the right.
Chris, it's worth stopping for a minute just to explain.
Yeah. Settle in. Give us the rundown.
Explain to people, because it's hard to accept this is the way
it is. Yeah,
it is. And you might characterize it differently than I would. But to explain to people that Mitch McConnell is essentially his own side, his own power base, right? He represents Washington, D.C., and that he
technically represents the great state of Kentucky, my home state originally.
Is able to keep that position because he has hundreds of millions of dollars that he uses, some people would say like a mob boss, and doles out to Senate candidates to keep them going. So what you need to understand if you're in the audience is that if you are in charge of your party in the Senate, that means you control a pot of money that you dole out. That's what keeps you in charge. I mean, could you talk about that a little bit in your own words and how people just need to understand? I mean, if you're going to look at this in terms of power.
Sorry. So Mitch McConnell's able to raise money for other Republicans because as the minority leader or the majority leader, that's one of your big jobs. Same thing with Kevin McCarthy when he was doing it. Just the fact that Mike Johnson can't do it is somehow special. Fuck me. See you, Jupiter.
This is its own power base, right? He's out from under Trump.
God forbid. Jesus Christ. Okay, so one more thing real quick, because we should look at the hair up version of this lady, of Jill Savage, who someone in our chat room allegedly went to school with. Mystery illness strikes Trump rally attendees. Was it a chemical attack? I have a theory.
Stirred up some local controversy in a largely left-wing city. But before the event, a Pima County supervisor posted a sign in Spanish on social media that read, "F you, MAGA, no more orange." But the real shock came after the rally when 20 attendees reported mysterious symptoms like blurry vision and facial swelling. With no clear cause, this strange illness has left many wondering what really happened. So I'm joined by Matthew Peterson, editor-in-chief for Blaze News, Steve Baker, investigative journalist for Blaze Media, and Christy Kelly, a political journalist who recently wrote about this for Arizona Globe. So Christy, let's start with you. Can you walk us through what?
I'm gonna go with Trump farted, and it was blindingly ascetic.
Happened at this Tucson rally?
Yes. So as you explained, it wasn't not an ordinary rally. I mean, there was a lot of consternation going into the rally.
Oh, consternation. Going into the rally, there was consternation? I mean, I got to be honest, considering Trump says he's not really a conservative, that he's just the common sense president and he's a con artist, consternation sounds like something he would trademark.
The namesake of the venue, Linda Ronstadt, published to social media a lengthy post stating her displeasure with Trump even being there. And then, of course,
sorry, this whole thing became an issue because Linda Ronstadt has a theater named after her?
Board of supervisor. So like every rally, Trump had supporters behind him. Some Latino.
Yes, I will notice if you stand behind Trump, I'm just saying there's a chance you might come in contact with a caustic airborne substance.
For Trump were seated to his right. So if you're looking at the stage, they were actually going to be...
Yes, center of Donald Trump's one cheek sneak technique.
To his left, if you're in the audience facing.
Who's sneaking up the foot? There's somebody behind you. Oh, it's your friend. Never mind.
So about, I would say, let's say 20 to 25 people were seated behind Trump.
Mm-hmm. So they're behind Trump, and they start having issues with something that burned their eyes and made them sick. Gotcha.
Of those that were seated behind him, I've spoken to 10.
Wow. And did most of them smell like used fish sandwiches?
Who have come down with some sort of mystery illness.
Probably, hey, one thing we can't say, it wasn't vaccine related.
So, what if these people told you?
I really couldn't understand them. They had their tongues were swollen and they smelled like, just saying.
Yes, so they said, immediately, of course, they're on the stage for anywhere from 3 to 4 hours.
Yeah, and they were fine. And then Trump came up and the wind shifted. And all of a sudden, they experienced some very strange symptoms.
Sit there on the stage, waiting for Trump to get there, the other dignitaries to speak. They didn't think anything of it. Everything in the rally went fine.
Yeah, everything was great until after Trump got up there and started speaking. Then they started feeling very strange.
Every single person that I spoke to said
Oh, dear.
20 to 30 minutes after they left the rally,
Yeah, well, it takes time to sink in, you know? So,
they began to get blurry eyes,
that's common. Yeah, for most people.
blurry vision. Some said their nose started stinging.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. But they probably didn't notice while they were there that that it, you know, because they're used to it.
They started experiencing redness that progressively got worse.
Mm-hmm. You don't say.
I spoke to one lady. She said she even doused her eyes with milk because they were hurting so bad.
Yeah, well, it's like, you know, some people call farts cookies. If you have little kids, oh, somebody's making cookies. So sometimes milk is milk and cookies. Works very well.
Until she finally had to go to the ER. Of about 6 or 7 that I spoke to, they did end up in the ER, and they ended up being referred to their ophthalmologist. So it got to the point.
Oh,
I mean, Tucson is a
stinging eyes.
fairly small city. So later,
So they were all there together, and it didn't occur to them that perhaps.
in the night, the doctor, when the people came, the doctor was like, "Oh, you must have been at the Trump rally."
Right, because I can smell you. And they were like, "Why do you say that?" And he was like, "Well, I don't want to be rude, but you smell like, you know, you got the hint. You have a hint of about you."
We've had others come in.
And they all smelled like.
So of the 2 that I spoke to that were referred.
Which one did you speak to first? Number 1 or number 2?
To their ophthalmologist that actually gave me the paperwork. They all indicated bilateral ocular chemical burn.
Yes, I think that's directly tied to a well done steak with ketchup on it.
And that they were diffusing the eyes with eye drops to treat a chemical abrasion. So the
So some form of like acetic compound that led to this. Gotcha.
emergency room physicians were less definitive. They were like, it could have been the exposure to the lighting. It could have been.
Yeah. There were so many options that could have been part of it, but nobody really knows. Yeah. So they're all we know is they were all fine, and then they were standing behind Trump at his rally, and then something affected them that was like a chemical burn. And nobody's quite sure what the origin of what it would be. Is.
Been extreme exposure to lighting, or it could have been something, an irritant in the air.
I think you're onto something there, ma'am. It could have been, how did she say it? An irritant in the air. Good.
But I do have these 2 medical reports in front of me that do indicate that the ophthalmologist.
2. You've counted them. There's 1 and then there's number 2. Which one are you reading first? Number 2?
Said it was some sort of chemical burn.
Now, is there any ongoing
Right.
investigation for?
No. There's, Trump left town and so did the problem.
A potential source of where?
We have some idea where maybe the sound, the attack came from. No one really knows for sure, but there's a lot of options.
Some of this could have come from, what this could have caused, because now you're saying the doctors, they were aware of.
It's a mystery, and nobody really knows what possibly could have led. Ooh.
This as the people were even coming in.
Yeah, because it was fine when they got there. You know, it wasn't until Trump went on stage and
Yes, so this is definitely where it gets a little tricky because the
yes, very tricky.
rally was on Thursday.
Right. Thursday.
Friday morning, some of these participants, they're all in this prayer group together. So this is
Oh, I see. So the Lord couldn't protect them from the power of and they were all praying together and they were like, Lord, what could be the source of my sorry, I lost my train of thought, Lord. What could have
this is how I even heard about it because one of the
Wait, you're in a prayer group with the people
that was on the prayer call put it on social media. It was like,
Yeah. And luckily, so far with all the advancements, none of the social media sites are scratch and sniff.
hey, pray for, these people. They've been injured after attending the Trump rally. And so it was not their immediate concern to, alert the media or even to really tell anybody per se. They did call the people who placed them on the stage. So they were invited on the stage by local.
I see. So they weren't planning on standing and say, I'll just call it the blast zone. And they probably would have rather been, what's the word? Upwind?
Organizers. They called them. They've called the facility. I've called the facility. I have not heard a statement from either the facility or the Tucson police, who I know have also been alerted.
No, you haven't spoken to anybody since Trump used the facilities? I see. What, do you think there's any reason to believe that he too was harmed? Or do you think he's got sort of an immunity?
I want to.
Did you just burp in my ear? That's gross. What? Have you no shame, ma'am?
Go to Steve Baker because I don't want to speculate, but I do want to speculate. One thing that we should say, people out there.
Yeah, one thing, it could have been, trouble you're in, but you're in and you're in and you're in. But, number two.
Are saying, and the reason in part this is drawing attention and is concerning is because there have been people talking about Havana syndrome and
That's right.
directed energy weapons out there, not just on an Alex Jones type show, but in the government itself. There's been congressional hearings. Steve, do you want to talk a little bit about that and maybe?
Yes, Trump has some sort of directional energy weapon that comes out behind him that perhaps is, if it's used on civilians, violates the Geneva Convention. And there's been stories about this. He famously won 1640. Donald Trump, obviously shat himself trying to use that energy weapon at the debate with Biden.
Speculate a little bit on what people are saying out there.
Yeah, but before I do any speculation at all, I would like to ask Christy, first of all,
To pull my finger.
is in these medical reports from the doctors, whether they were the ER doctors or
Was prayer mentioned?
physicians who have examined these patients afterwards, have they actually identified any chemical property whatsoever, either in their eyes, on their skin? So
Yeah. Did they test for material, any kind of, some sort of material that perhaps they could call, I don't know, some sort of fee-based,
so is there an actual identifiable irritant?
well, it was a day later, so most of them were planning on showering.
I don't believe so. There was just a summary that they were treating it for a chemical abrasion. And then
Yes. So again, if you're standing behind Donald Trump at one of his rallies and your eyes start to sting, don't rub them.
There wasn't also that it was an ocular chemical burn. But
An ocular chemical burn.
I am not a doctor, so
But you could play one on TV.
it was a lot of medical jargon.
Yeah, they were talking about sort of gaseous substances.
That is probably above my pay grade that was on the medical reports. So someone like yourself could probably look at it with a set of fresh eyes and maybe see something that I was not
Well, don't look at it with your fresh eyes because something bad could happen. Yeah.
able to determine.
Would you say that it was a chemical-like burn, or?
Yeah, it was some sort of a, they believe, obviously it wasn't a chemical solid or a chemical liquid, but perhaps a chemical, what's the word I'm looking for? It's a chemical, it's not a solid. It's not a liquid. Damn, I'll remember it later.
Were they emphatic that it was in fact a chemical source to this problem?
The exact wording, and I do have a JD, so I am very precise in the language, says they were diffusing the eyes for chemical abrasion and that they spotted the bilateral ocular chemical burn.
Well, see,
They did not.
Yeah, so some sort of maybe some sort of damp air with a caustic base struck them in the eyes, and they were directly behind Donald Trump when this happened, and there was no way to tell what was the source.
Not use the term like a burn.
yeah, and
No, like a burn. No.
so with that information there, that would take me away from the speculation of any type of directed energy weapon. And these things are in the news. The CIA continues to deny their very.
So yeah, it was not Havana syndrome. It may have been Mar-a-Lago syndrome, which is anybody downwind from Trump often will find themselves with ocular chemical burns.
existence, but there's actually been congressional hearings. In fact, there was a congressional hearings just this year on May 8th, 2024, in which experts, military experts, legal experts were bringing the issue of Havana syndrome before Congress because we have hundreds of citizens, not just our diplomatic corps, not just our special forces, not just our intelligence services around the world who are being affected by this mysterious illness, but also this is now cropping up and being used domestically. But that doesn't sound like what we're talking about in Tucson.
No, something different.
Yeah, and we should say, I mean, this is as a friend said today, isn't Havana syndrome just long COVID for people in the State Department who don't want to work, which is a terrible thing.
That's a terrible thing to say. You said it, but I'm just going to point at you and pretend you didn't say it because it's a real injury, and it's. But anyways,
To say. But I get it. That's what I first thought too. But there's something very serious going on there. So I think that, is one of the things that drew people's attention to this. I guess to rule that out, you would have to say, you'd have to know that these were not just chemical-like effects, but that there was actually, you have to get to the cause of what the chemical was.
Yeah,
is it true that Havana syndrome is like in these cases they would have chemical-like effects?
They would absolutely have exactly very similar effects to what Christy is describing right here. But it also includes confusion, severe headaches, things of that nature.
which is, by the way, something people experience at Trump rallies anyways. So it's understandable that they wouldn't notice.
That you can get from chemical properties exposure.
Okay, also, these guys are talking out of their ass. I'm done fucking around. Toxic schlock syndrome. That's a great name for it. That's what these people got at the Peter Shancel in the chat for the win. Nicely done. Toxic schlock syndrome. That's what happens when you stand behind Trump for too long at a rally when he's just getting rolling. Damn, I done messed up my pants. That said, I think I got through almost everything. I don't need this shit. Yeah, there was like a Peter Navarro on War Room, but it was just fucking so dry. I don't care. I don't care. Would you like to see a cat, perhaps? Can I interest you guys in seeing one of my kitties? I could go get a cat, if you would. I would like to say that today I pulled out all the stops on all the devices, and I still had to use my soundboard over here to get all of the fart sounds, and I still feel like I need more. I do feel like I need more. Ooh, that was not nice. That's better. Little drier, not to be ashamed of. Here's the perfect one. There you go. All done. Oh, here we go. Yes, I will go get a cat. Talk amongst yourselves. Hold on. I have to take my headphones out because they go out of range and then they start yelling at me. Yeah, boys. How's your boy? How's your big boy? How's your big chippers? How's your boy? Hi, boy. How's your chippers? Look at this big cat. Look at this guy. Oh, he's a good kitty. He's a good kitty. You guys want to see the, what is now the Haitian joke, but has been an ongoing thing that I do when I pick up Chip almost all the time? There's a scratch. There's a fan. Yeah. Here's how it goes. Hold on. Pick him up and I go like this. You pick him up like this, and then I roll him over, and I give him a kisses on the belly. And the Chip will get your belly kisses. There, gets it. Get the belly kisses. Because he's a big boy. He's a big kitty. These are unflattering angles. You're not nearly as fat as you look. He's just a big, meaty cat. The black parts of him are slimming. There he goes. Hey, the boy. Hey, the boy. Hey, this Chip was a good boy. Hey, the boy. How's the Chip doing? So, ladies and gentlemen, this Chip, yeah, he's a big cat. He's basically a panda disguised as a sea lion. It's a boy. It's a boy. Do you want a snack? Yeah? You want a snack? Yeah? He wants a snack. Yes, you do. You want a snack. Okay, here you go. All right. Oh my God. Covered in hair. This is my OnlyFans. That's what it's going to be. Just me doing this. Hello, ladies. How's it going? Bow chicka wow wow wicka wicka wow wow wow. Yes, and by the way, where you going? Get out of there. What are you doing? Chip is the deep state. He totally is. Part house cat, part moose. He looks like creationist cat. Oh, all right. There you go. How much does he weigh? More than he should and less than he could. I mean, he's a big kitty, but he's not. He's ambulatory. Don't worry. He's very active. So, yeah. But he's a buddy. What's my buddy doing? What's my buddy doing? What's your buddy to do? What's your buddy? What you doing? What you doing, buddy? He puts his hand on my face when I try to get close to him. I said, hush, shut up now. Voices carry. All right, there we go. Oh, boy. All right, I will let you guys go. Thank you so much. Take care of yourselves and take care of somebody else. And thank you for being a part of the greatest live stream that exists on the internet. And I will see you soon. I've got to go cook dinner for the family. All right, now, I think I have an off button here. Do I have it? Probably not. I've got to, let's see, how does this, I think if I click this,